here in Germany in the Siebenlinden. So it was the Gen Deutschland Treffen, Gen Deutschland gathering. And yeah, wow, it was so inspiring to speak to the elders. And it was also so inspiring to speak to Friedemann, who is part of Next Gen Germany. And yeah, the elders and the Next Gen conversations were the ones that were striking me most, or that were inspiring me most, maybe it's the better word. Because it was just like, yeah, like always, where you're in the collective field and then you move around, and when you go with the flow will bring you to the people that you're supposed to talk to. So I was talking to the founder of Sternberg and the co-founder of Windberg, and it was really interesting to hear from them. They were both women in the age of 50s or 60s, in their 50s or 60s. And yeah, we had this conversation around the topic of founding. And what struck me most was the responsibility that comes along with founding an eco-village or a community. And that's a topic that is very interesting for me. And it's always funny to hear that founders, they feel the motivation and the drive, and they carry the weight of responsibility to actually launch and pioneer a project. But then often, while they are in it and while they are doing it, or often afterwards, they realize like that it's so much effort and that it's very draining and even somehow sacrificing. And that was very interesting to me, because when she told me that it's a big sacrifice, then I was thinking like, well, how is it for me if I would do that? And somehow I think that it would be a great way of giving my life to, like if we talk about service, mission and purpose, which are these topics that often come up also in men's circles, for example, because there's always this thing of like, okay, what's your mission? What's your why? Why are you here? What's your purpose? Why do you live? And when I think about giving my energy to launch such a project, or to start and create such a project, an eco-village, then in my current view and perspective, I think it's the best thing I can do. Because that's, for me, being in service. I use my qualities, I use my power and my privilege to bring or birth something into this world that is giving, the room and the space for people to evolve in a more natural, healthy and conscious way. So thinking about this, from my perspective right now, in this moment in life, where I'm volunteering in the Ecovillage Siebenlinden, in the garden, I would say it's definitely worth going that path. And if in the process one day I would die, well then the compost of my being, of my soul, of my work would be the birth of an eco-village. And thinking about this gives me a deep sense of satisfaction and gratitude, and also purpose. Ahoy. So that was the first part of talking to the elders. There were many other details that came up in the conversation, but I think the thing I mentioned now is the thing that I take with me. Yeah. And I think it's important to live your life to the fullest and live do things that you still have on your bucket list before you go into such a project or such a sacrifice, let's say, because once you're in it, you have a big responsibility and you give your whole life, right? So then it's important to know that you have done the things that you wanted to do before. And that's where sailing comes in for me. But before we get into the sailing part, I want to get back to the talk that I had with Friedemann, with the next gen enthusiast, Ecovillage enthusiast and market gardener and visionary and just a very lovely human being, engaged young man. That's how I would describe him. And yeah, when I think about the conversation that we had, it was like the thought of building a program where young people like him and me and others can join into, where basically they go for, let's say, 1 to 3 years, depending on how the details would be worked out. But the idea is basically to travel to different eco-villages and communities, stay there for a while, absorb, learn, and also give your hand work, and have this balance between studying, learning, and putting your hands into the soil, into the ground, or working on a construction site or infrastructure, garden, seminar space, or whatever, wherever your hand is needed. So basically, it's kind of like, in Germany there is a thing called Walze. I think that's how it's spelled. Don't take me to my word. I think it's Walze, where people that want to learn a craftsmanship, they travel around for 3 years and they go from place to place, and they basically also do the same. They give their hand and they work and they learn at the same time. So this kind of program in the structure and the world of eco-villages, that's the conversation that we had. And that's also kind of the wish that we had for our own lives. Although me personally, I decided to now finish my master's. I think for the future generations, it would be great to have, of course, the greatest thing would be to have it institutionalized, to have a proper degree, let's say a bachelor, doing exactly what I just mentioned. That would be the crown or the cherry on top of the cake. Yeah, so that was the idea that we were discussing. Then we went into a bit more personal sharing, also about life and death and other topics, but I'm not going to go into that. I think the most important was shared now. And yeah, let's see how this idea can be developed. If you feel the call to join in creating this, let me know. Write something in the comment or write me an email, and I can link you to Friedemann, or we can also have a call together and maybe find a way to launch this or to create this kind of program. Yeah. Hi. Okay, so these were the 2 things of the Gen gathering, and I'm not sure if I shall make a second video about the sailing experience right now. I'm gonna look how far we are. Yeah, I think we're gonna leave it here and then do another video. Thank you for listening. I wish you a great week. I hope you're doing fine, and I hope that you feel alive and kicking. And see you in the next one. Ahoy. Thank you for listening and being a part of this journey. Ahoy.